The Lions finished in last place of the NFC North in 2026. Surely they can get out of the cellar. We're exploring if they can right now.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes. I'm Joe Marino. He's Kyle Crabbs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now.
Joe, happy Thursday to
Happy
you
Thursday.
as we are wrapping up our next to last division in this divisional series. We do this every summer. Looking at cornerstone players, quality starters, concerns about the roster for all 32 teams. Today is the Lions Day in the Sun as we're rocking and rolling here. And finished 9-8. The Detroit Lions did, a winning record, and still finished in last place. It's a tough season. And Detroit had some tough breaks throughout the course of the season. Some of those threatening to trickle into this season with some key players, and we're breaking it all down, and I know we'll start on offense.
All right, yes. We'll get to all those defensive injuries, but segment one is on the offense where, you know, they got some blue chippers, man. We've got Jahmyr Gibbs. We have Penei Sewell. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam LaPorta, of course, he's coming off of, a herniated disc in his back, and obviously kind of an unfortunate time because he's extension eligible right now.
Right.
And I'm sure, you know, they have some choices to make, but that injury late in the season is not great. And Jared Goff's been one of the most prolific passers in the NFL over the last 3 seasons. There's some guys here where when it does come to the skill positions, you love St. Brown, you love Jameson Williams, you love LaPorta, you love Gibbs. It's a big opportunity, though, for some depth players, right, where Isaac Tesla is going to have a big opportunity to have an even bigger role for this offense when they're in 11 personnel. He feels like the other receiver that they're going to want to have on the field. And then, of course, David Montgomery is no longer here, which on one hand means more Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's exciting. But that tandem, right, Sonic and Knuckles was a good one. They complemented each other well, and now you introduce Isaiah Pacheco into this situation. And, you know, Isaiah Pacheco is a fun runner when he's available. He runs angry, but durability has been a major issue, and it puts even more on Gibbs. So we need to make sure that our running depth is going to do what it's supposed to do. And when we're in 11 personnel, and even probably in some other personnel groupings, Isaac Tesla in year 2 is going to have a lot more on his plate.
Yeah, I think this group's going to be defined ultimately by the development of guys like that, because Amon-Ra St. Brown's been such a great success story. Jameson Williams has turned into a consistent threat in his role in the offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, if we set the over-under at 385 and a half touches from scrimmage this season, you taking the over, the under on Jahmyr Gibbs?
It's going to be up there. Yeah, I'm taking the over probably with the receiving component that I expect to be there.
So LaPorta's obviously a huge question, like you mentioned with the injury, but I think their second line guys don't move the needle as much for me, which means getting a healthy LaPorta and sustaining a healthy Gibbs, and Amon-Ra being such a volume component of what they do. Like, I think those 3 guys, you probably can't afford a long-term hit for any one of those 3 guys without, I think, it impacting what your identity looks like offensively.
I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Greg Dortch being on this football team now.
Yes, I was waiting for it.
Yeah, it's
surely Joe will.
I think that's all we'll say about it, but he's there. I've always been a little fond of Mr. Greg Dortch, so I'm excited for him to have this opportunity in Detroit. We have some transition on this offensive line. There's been some pillars over the last few years that have moved on, right? No Taylor Decker this year. The Frank Ragnow thing was last year. And so we have some shuffling. We have some new pieces. Penei Sewell goes from right tackle to left tackle. If Tristan Wirfs can do it, I feel certain that Penei Sewell will be just fine. But now we have a rookie, probably, right? Their first-round pick, Blake Miller out of Clemson. productive starter for a long time at Clemson. He's presumed to come in and be the guy opposite of Penei Sewell, but they do have Larry Borum as a hedge, right? A guy that spent last year in Miami, the Bears before that. I think he can at least provide them with some good depth at either spot.
Yeah.
Then when we get to the inside, right, Cade Mays signed to be the center, which I thought was a great value deal in free agency. Tate Ratledge looked awesome as a rookie. I love where he's headed. But that left guard spot, we need a lot more out of Christian Mahogany this year. And if not, all right, we have Miles Frazier, who they drafted reasonably high recently. Ben Barch has been a guy that's played both spots and mostly a depth capacity. You know, I think that's where the heat is on that left guard spot.
I think you can look at probably the 1 through 10 and feel like there's appropriate players in those spots. I don't know how many teams you could say like the 9th and 10th guys. Like, yeah, I would expect that's a good player for the 9th and 10th spot.
This is really
that might be a 7th or 8th player for a lot of other offensive lines. So I think that's between the young players like Giovanni Manu and obviously them coming out and signing Larry Borum the way that they did in free agency. He got like $5 million on a 1-year deal. Like, it's pretty handsome compensation. They kind of told you how important it was to get him. And obviously that happened before they draft Blake Miller. But Frazier and Ben Barch, I think there's a lot of attractive depth where if you do have open season for one spot on your line, somebody's going to settle into that spot. And I think they'll be fine with what it looks like.
And obviously last year's Lions offense takes a hit by not having Ben Johnson. But I do love the hire of Drew Petzig, who I'm sure is going to be delighted to work with Jared Goff, an on-schedule quarterback. And, you know, Drew's got a lot of screen game involved and quick game that, Kyler Murray is just not going to be consistent executing those things. And I feel like there's a major upgrade with the quarterback and kind of the overall ecosystem for Drew Petzig, who there's a lot of hype, man. When he was first at Arizona, there was some belief that he was on a head coaching path, and that, of course, faded as the Cardinals had their own problems. But I think it's a big chance for him, and I feel like he's obviously got a ton to work with here and a good quarterback in Jared Goff.
Yeah, we will talk Goff in a very separate conversation when we talk starting quarterbacks across the league, which we try to do different because it is so important to how we grade the rosters and the influence that they have on the teams. But I guess overall big picture here, you've kind of touched on all three rooms of the skill group and the offensive line. Biggest question and best thing you feel best about?
Well, I feel best about, I have some blue chippers here in Gibbs and St. Brown. I mean, when that's going to be, is that pushing 500 touches? Am I crazy to think that?
No,
right?
It's probably over 500 touches. Honestly.
All right. I like that. And then Jamo, as he's been the last couple of years, he's been over 1,100 yards. It's the firepower that it can exist here. I think my concerns stem from some of the depth when it comes to skill players, and obviously a couple positions on this offensive line. Like, in theory, it feels good, but Blake Miller's a rookie. Cade Mays is a new addition, and like, for the options they have at left guard, are they all depth players, or do they actually have a starting caliber player? I think that's right. That remains to be seen.
I would guess the question is if Amon-Ra were to miss time, I think that's my biggest question. A wide receiver, because that means Tesla has to grow up in a big way in year 2. And I was a huge Tesla guy when he came out in the draft, right? So they invested a lot when they traded up to go get him. But is Jamison Williams as the field stretcher vertical guy, is he also a volume component? Does that become Tesla? I think that's what my biggest question would be. Greg Dortch.
Following Drew Petzig, he knows what's baked into that little body.
Watch, Greg Dortch will magically have a very productive season this year,
right?
In spite of all the other players in the offense.
Hey, listen, if Amon-Ra St
argument all over again next year,
if St. Brown goes down, don't tell me you're not running to the waiver wire for your fantasy team to put a big old bid on Greg Dortch to come in.
All right, you ready to go break?
We gotta talk Great Torch every year in our summer series. All right, coming up next, the defense, another unit filled with blue chippers, but my goodness, the questions about this secondary right now are significant. We'll break it down next, folks. Be sure to stick with us. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now, FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. You bet on a match, and you get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. Of course, got the U.S. win 2-0 last night. They advance. Very questionable call there, but still a lot of fun. And look, if you want to get in on this action, be looking for those matchups where both teams are aggressive offensively, because those are the games that can open up fast. The more chances being created, the more exciting the match becomes from beginning to end. And now you get to benefit from each goal scored. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. All right, Kyle, you're on mute. You had a good couple weeks there, though.
Defense. Hurt. Safeties are hurt, which is a rough break because Kirby Joseph has turned into an excellent ball magnet. Brian Branch, obviously, with how good he was when he came into the league. We'll let due process play itself out with the Terrion Arnold situation, but Detroit told us they had seen everything that they needed to see to know that they needed to get some distance from that situation when they released him this past week, as tied back to some off-the-field stuff that sounds very serious in nature. So that has created an additional unexpected hole and adversity for the football team. And obviously there's some things that are much more serious for Terrion Arnold that need to be figured out that are not pertaining to football, but Detroit is going to move on without him. So this secondary as a whole, between the safeties being hurt, third-year first-round pick being unexpectedly cut from the roster.
Yeah,
it's a sudden change. This would be a good team, I think, to go call up Rasul Douglas and see what he's up to.
Right, Rasul Douglas, Xavier Woods. There's some guys that can help you get through the season. Which, man, this has been such it's like a 2-year problem with Detroit. Has been just availability for their defense in particular, and we're already kind of starting behind the 8 ball. They've acquired a decent amount of players at safety that gives them some hedges. You think about Chuck Clark, Christian Eisen, who kind of faded in Tampa, but played a number of roles his first couple seasons. Avonte Maddox has been a fill-in-the-blanks guy for his career, really. They acquired Thomas Harper last year. So, ideally, you don't have to play any of those guys, but Kirby Joseph, late-season Achilles, and Brian Branch with seemingly some chronic knee stuff, and they've been really kind of hush-hush on what's going on with both players.
Right.
The actions here tell you that they've been very serious about acquiring playable depth, and it gets you concerned about those safeties. I guess at corner, I look at Ennis Rakestraw as like a recent second-round pick. It was a 2024. He hasn't really played. But whether that's in the nickel and Roger McCreary bumps outside, or he competes with Rocky Sin to be the guy opposite of DJ Reed, we're going to need something here out of Ennis Rakestraw. Maybe that's just as CB3 and your starting trio is Reed, McCreary, and Yassin. But I like Yassin, but he's been more of a depth player. He's filled in well, but there's also a reason nobody's really committed to him to be a starter in a number of years. So we got to figure this out at corner.
I don't say this as an assurance that it's a bad thing, but it is an observation. Is this the smallest cornerback room in football?
Probably.
Abney is sub 5'10". Khalil Dorsey is sub 5'10". Ennis Rakestraw is sub 5'10". DJ Reed is sub 5'10". Roger McCreary is 5'11", and then Rocky Sin is 5'1", 1'6".
Yeah, it is.
It's just a fun tidbit that they don't have a lot of size, but that comes with, Reed and McCurry and Rakestraw are guys all with like super quick feet. I think Keith Abney didn't test great in the pre-draft process, and as a smaller guy who didn't test great, that's why he falls. But I do think like transitionally, that's where he had one of his strengths at Arizona State. So that gives you a chance to have guys that can play with a little bit of cushion in transition and attack. But if Roger McCurry, DJ Reed, Ennis Rakestraw, Keith Abney as a 5th-round pick, if he is ready to roll and compete, like I think they have enough at corner. It's just what's the ceiling of the group. I think that's enough to get you by. It's just what's the ceiling? Does anybody make a big splash?
Well, what would be helpful is if they had a bunch of pass rush, and they certainly have one guy that can do that in Aidan Hutchinson, but my kingdom for a guy that can play opposite of him, right? Like they bring in DJ Wanham, and like, I don't know, he's a really like high floor, low ceiling, 3rd defensive end, in my opinion. They make a big move to go get Derek Moore, and I like Derek Moore as much as the next guy, but like I would have loved to have seen them get real serious about pairing Aidan with a dude, right? Because like Al-Qadim Muhammad steps into this defense last year, has 11 sacks. Like that's not Al-Qadim Muhammad. He had, right. He had 11 sacks in the 4 seasons combined previous, right? On 3 different teams. So like, I just feel like they're kind of missing their chance to maximize this A-list player in Aidan with, like Marcus Davenport, Peyton Turner. Like, let's get serious about this, Brad Holmes, and get a guy.
Well, I think that's unfortunately, they have generally paid everybody that was extension eligible thus far. They still have to do Gibbs. They still have to do. Do they have anybody else left to do? LaPorta.
Well, Branch and LaPorta are the anglers.
And they're hurt right now, right?
They're hurt, yeah.
Like everybody up until this point from this build, everybody's gotten paid. Jamison Williams got paid. Kirby Joseph got paid. Aidan Hutchinson gets paid. Jared Goff gets re-upped. Obviously, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, so when you do that, you can't probably say if we're paying Aidan Hutchinson $40-something million a season, he's going to have to be a $40-something million season player. And these other spots where we're losing these offensive linemen, where we're losing these players in the secondary, we have to invest there. And Aidan has to carry the group. They spent how many premium draft picks in the defensive tackle room the last 2 years?
You're not wrong about any of that, but I can also look at their situations, and they're not a team that is aggressively restructuring contracts, built to manufacture cap space. Dude, they can free up tens of millions of dollars with some restructures for guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. That's almost $40 million restructuring those 2 players. Are they going to be around? Yes. They haven't squeezed everything that they can out of this cap to maximize their talent on a yearly basis.
Now you're getting into a separate conversation.
Well, it's relevant to why the roster is the way that it is. They just don't do these things.
Right.
So they just don't.
Right, they can.
And you are the Lions. You have not done a thing in your franchise history. You have an unbelievable core of high-end talent. Let's go. Let's find a 3 to 5 year window and let's go. And they just don't. And that would drive me nuts if I were a Lions fan.
Where do you think Detroit ranked in 2025
Here we go
in cash
cash.
spending?
Here we go. Here we go.
Because this is the conversation. This is what it is.
I don't know, but I'm guessing low.
They were 19th in 2025 in cash spending. Where do you think they ranked in 2024 in cash spending?
Somewhere in that range.
7th. They were respectively high. Now they went 15-2. 2026 currently for this year. Where do they rank in cash spending?
Middle of the pack.
13th.
And that's just by nature of having good expensive players. But you could have more. That's the point I would make.
The team that is first this year in cash spending.
Oh.
We've done them already.
Well, surely. I mean, we've done all but 4 teams. So
Yeah.
So it's not is it NFC North? Is that division we haven't done? I think it's the NFC North.
We're doing the NFC North right now.
Or the AFC South. Was that the who we haven't done? AFC South? Okay.
Yeah, AFC South.
AFC
South team has number 2.
Is it the Rams?
It's not currently the Rams. It is the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. Yeah, you got some
$389 million in cash this year. Detroit sits at 356, which is kind of the bottom of there's kind of a 16th is 348, and that's Cincinnati. The separation from between 16th and 4th is $20 million. So that's a pretty tightly, the upper band is pretty tightly packed with the exception of a few teams that are getting out in front of it at the top. And then you've got the teams at the bottom you've got 4 teams below 300 million, including the team we did yesterday, the Minnesota Vikings, which is of interest to note because they were number 2 in the NFL last year in cash.
Yeah.
$345 million.
They said, clean this up, man. Clean this up.
Yep.
All right. We will, on the other side of it, we'll declare the cornerstones, the quality starters, and we'll take a look at the FanDuel win projection and say if we're going over or under. So, folks, be sure to stick with us. All right.
I'm not muted this time.
Well done. Well done. The growth mindset already improving. All right. So we will now declare our franchise cornerstones and quality starters. And I think this is where you get excited because they've got a lot of this.
Amon-Ra St. Brown's roster cornerstone.
Yep.
Cornerstones, by the way, disclaimer, are league-wide cornerstones. They are not within your individual team ecosystem. There are some players that you would classify as a building block for your team that might not necessarily be, they might be one of the better players on your roster, but they might not be one of the best players at their position across all 32 teams, which is how we are trying to declare cornerstones.
Yeesh.
Yes. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell, roster cornerstone.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, roster cornerstone.
If you could put all the offensive linemen in the NFL in a bucket
and draft them,
would Penei Sewell be your first pick?
Probably.
Yeah. I think he's still like super young too. Okay, sorry, I got excited when you started talking.
Penei Sewell is 25 years old.
25, yeah.
Now playing left tackle.
He's gonna be fine. I trust me. He's gonna be fine.
So I did Amon-Ra, Penei, and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, easy yeses.
Do you have any other offensive cornerstone players?
Yeah, I have Goff.
You do? He's like right on the line for me. He's definitely top 10 quarterback. It's just where is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's not tier within the tier, right? He's low end franchise cornerstone, but I just feel like he's been so consistent with like accuracy metrics, production. Like I mean, obviously he has his own limitations, but I mean he's produced at such a high level for a number of years. I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. Aidan Hutchinson, roster cornerstone.
Absolutely.
I have both Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch as cornerstone players.
Yeah, with a major asterisk, right?
Well, yeah, it's
what are these players?
But but what they've been to this point in their careers, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody else?
Yeah,
Jack Campbell.
Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
Just an absurd amount, right?
Like we didn't even talk about Jack.
Right.
Because you got me started on cash spending and
yeah, I know. That's
send
always
me down a rabbit hole.
Trigger point.
So Jack was made the second highest paid linebacker in football with his 4-year extension.
So we need 2 hands to count all these cornerstones. That's pretty rare.
Right. Even if you're including Branch and Joseph being questions for being hurt this year. Like it's still a very robust number of blue chip difference maker pieces. And we should not sleep on that because there's been teams that have had those kinds of players carry a roster despite all kinds of questions elsewhere on the team.
Yes. Quality starters. I've got Sam LaPorta.
Yes.
I've got Jameson Williams.
Yes.
I've got DJ Reed.
Yes.
And I have Aleem McNeil, turned 26 in May. I think he's going to be right back to where he was.
As long as he's back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's it. You have
no arguments for me, unless you want to get his specialists.
Well, Jack Fox, quality punter.
Yeah.
So, is there another one?
I didn't know if you were going to really take that.
No, Jake Bates sub 80% field goal make rate last year. We're not messing with that. And you're playing all these games in domes, so we got to see a little more out of him in year 3. All right, so we schedule. Well, yeah. So our dude. Well, let me give you the number. Let's get to the number first. Your guess?
9.5.
10.5.
Okay.
Yeah, the favorites. This is the favorite to win this division for going from worst to first. Keep in mind, dude. And I know I've kind of fumbled over this a few times. I actually have their uncommon games because this matters a ton for a last place schedule. They get the Titans, Giants, and Cardinals as their. So
bad.
When you're, especially the NFC West, when you get the Cardinals and not one of those other 3 teams.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. Titans and Giants. I mean, that's such a big deal. That was a huge part of like the Patriots and Bears stories last year, was those last place schedules that actually mattered. I think Detroit has that this year. This is a very favorable schedule.
Man, they play one road game in 2 months, and it's at Miami.
That middle stretch of the season out of the bye, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I probably see 4 wins in the first 5 weeks before the bye.
They're 4-1 going into the bye. They should be.
It's home against Saints and Jets, and at Buffalo, at Carolina, at Arizona. I think if they play the way that they're capable of playing, they're 4-1.
Don't be coming to Buffalo and spoiling the opening of the new stadium now, Detroit. Chill out,
$700 to get the nosebleed seats.
Yeah, man. People paid good money. We've waited 53 years for this moment. Don't come in there and mess it up for us. I'll be there, and I've never watched Josh Allen lose a football game. So,
well,
yeah.
Bet on Buffalo.
That's right, baby. Might have to go to the playoff games this year to make sure my magic has a chance to stick.
Yeah, unless it doesn't work in
if we lose to the Lions,
yeah.
But if they win, I got to go to playoff games this year, assuming the Bills get there.
So then they play at Arizona in week 5, and they play in Miami November 8th, and then their next road game is December 6th.
Now, they do have the trip to Spain, Germany. They play the Patriots game is in Germany.
Yeah, well.
So
it's a neutral site game. It's not a true road game.
Yeah, they don't have to travel at all to get to this football game they have to play in. So,
and they get the Tennessee Titans and the New York Giants at home too.
Yeah. Like,
all right. So
it's a really meaningful
4-1 out of the bye. 4-1 out of the bye. Fair to say they get one of Packers and Vikings at home. They probably could get both, but
at least one.
Give them one is 5. At Miami, I'll give them that one is 6. New England and overseas, Tampa at home the following week, and then short week home against Chicago. How many of those 3?
At least one. Like if we're conservatively, we could say 1.
That's 7.
Okay.
At Atlanta,
8.
Home against the Titans,
9.
At Minnesota,
their nemesis.
Leave it open. You get the Giants at 10. Monday Night Football, Week 16. That would be 10.
Yeah.
And then at Chicago, at Green Bay to finish. They'll get one of them.
So, yeah, we need one of, in the last 3 weeks, we need one of the Vikings, Bears, and Packers.
Yeah, one of the 3, and they're all road games.
Yeah. We just win one of them, and you get to 11.
Yeah. That is interesting, though, for the indoor team to have to play in Chicago and in Green Bay the last 2 weeks.
Well, soon enough, their road games in Chicago will be inside.
That's true.
Insane.
Not soon enough for 2026, though.
Insane.
I'm probably taking the over on
Cleveland and Chicago playing inside football. Have we lost our minds?
Listen, you just be thankful that they built your stadium. They engineered it. They built it tall enough so that the winds will swirl above, but not down with it.
50% wind reduction, man.
Yeah, they got the best scientists in the world.
Yeah, you just put a lot of money in the stadium.
Or you could just put a roof on it and then never have to worry about it.
No. We got to wait, we think we're inviting the Miami Dolphins up as often as we can to play outside, you know?
Yeah.
I'm
filing a petition to go to the AFC South. That's my
no.
Or preserve the rivalries. These rivalries will be good in the NFC North. There will be high stakes game played late in the season. Looking forward to it. I'm taking the over on the 10.5.
I'm taking the under.
Okay.
There's too many questions. I love so much of this team. I really do. But I've got
we got like cornerstones, Joe.
They do. Do we have another pass rusher? Do we have a secondary? I like the Lions. They're probably my second favorite team, but if I'm being very honest, I feel like there's enough questions in a good division that I think they win like 10 games. I just don't think they deserve the benefit of the doubt. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
So, all
right. Well, that's it for us. We're out of here. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino. We have takes on takes tomorrow to wrap up the week, where you give your takes, we give our hot takes, or our reactions to your hot takes. Hence why it's called Takes on Takes. So get your takes into Joe on social media over on Twitter, and we will see you all again tomorrow.